A fundamental element of human nature is the need for creative work, for free creation without the arbitrary limiting effects of coercive institutions. That a decent society should maximize the possibilities for this fundamental human characteristic to be realized.
When you observe yourself within, you see moving images, a world of images, generally known as fantasies. Yet these fantasies are facts. It is a fact that a man has such and such a fantasy. And it is such a tangible fact, for instance, that when a man has a certain fantasy, a bridge is built. These houses were all fantasies. Everything you do here, all of the houses, everything was fantasy to begin with. And fantasy has a proper reality. That is not to be forgotten. Fantasy is not nothing. It is, of course, not a tangible object, but it is a fact, nevertheless. It is, say, a form of energy, despite the fact we can't measure it. It is a manifestation of something.
Creativity is not a talent. It is not a talent. It is a way of operating. When I say a way of operating, what I mean is this. Creativity is not an ability that you either have or do not have. It is, for example, and this may surprise you, absolutely unrelated to IQ, provided you're intelligent above a certain minimal level, that is. But McKinnon showed in investigating scientists, architects, engineers, and writers that those regarded by their peers as most creative were in no way whatsoever different in IQ from their less creative colleagues. So in what way were they different? Well, McKinnon showed that the most creative had simply acquired a facility for getting themselves into a particular mood, a way of operating, which allowed their natural creativity to function. In fact, McKinnon described this particular facility as an ability to play. Indeed, he described the most creative when in this mood as being childlike. For they were able to play with ideas, to explore them, not for any immediate practical purpose, but just for enjoyment. Play for its own sake.
In so many athletic and artistic skills, you will find a teacher who teaches you how to do it without forcing it. This man had to teach me to overcome my block. And he said, now, first of all, feel perfectly free to make mistakes. Everybody's going to make some mistakes, and it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. And if you do make a mistake, don't go back and do it over again, but just go on. What always is an essential element in the creative is the mysterious. The dark, it's like the black in lacquer. The impenetrable, and yet the profound depth out of which glorious things come, but nobody can see why.
Creativity is the greatest rebellion in existence. If you want to create, you have to get rid of all conditionings. Otherwise, your creativity will be nothing but copy. It will be just a carbon copy. You can be creative only if you are an individual. You cannot create as part of the mob psychology. The creator cannot follow the well-trodden path. He has to search his own way.
I had this encounter recently where I met the extraordinary American poet Ruth Stone, who's now in her 90s, but she's been a poet her entire life, and she told me that when she was growing up in rural Virginia. She would be out working in the fields, and she said she would like feel and hear a poem coming at her from over the landscape. And she said it was like a thunderous train of air, and it would come barreling down at her over the landscape. And when she felt it coming, because it would like shake the earth under her feet, she knew that she had only one thing to do at that point, and that was to, in her words, run like hell. And she would like run like hell to the house, and she'd be getting chased by this poem. And the whole deal was that she had to get to a piece of paper and a pencil fast enough so that when it thundered through her, she could collect it and grab it on the page. And other times she wouldn't be fast enough, so she'd be like running and running and running, and she wouldn't get to the house, and the poem would like barrel through her, and she would miss it. And she said it would continue on across the landscape, looking, as she put it, for another poet. So when I heard that, I was like, that's uncanny. That's exactly what my creative process is like.
What is creation? And creation is taking something from the nothingness and bringing it into the somethingness. And so you sort of become the doorway for something to come from the nothingness into the somethingness. So when you're creating, you're actually experiencing a flow through from the infinite into the finite. And that, I think that is the feeling that we love so much, is that sense of feeling that thing when you're working on jokes and all of a sudden it goes from being a drudge to all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, you know, it's happening, and all of a sudden you get sucked into this weird vacuum, and you've written for like 2 hours and it feels like a second. You know, that sense of being pulled into a momentary current where something's coming out of you that's clearly not necessarily you, that to me is like one of the ultimate, it's the ultimate feeling.
We're all creative. We've all created a meal, we've all created the interior design of our living room, and we've all created an outfit. Creativity is as individual as it is universal. Which brings me to the second phase of the creative process. Once you've honored that thought, you gotta play around with it. Sculpt it, shape it, mold it, make it more tangible, bring it to life. But in order to do so, you gotta fall down and get back up. Fall down and get back up. Fall down yet again and get back up. Creativity needs mistakes. Creativity is trying to tell you to get messy, make mistakes, fall down, get back up again, embrace the F word, failure. I haven't heard of anyone that could walk the first day that they were born, so why do we put all these unrealistic expectations on ourselves to never fail? I've failed hundreds of times. I've lost thousands of euros and dollars. I've lost friends, I've lost businesses. Did it hurt? Hell yes. Did I learn something? So it's from those mistakes that our creations are so much more powerful than that original thought. It's where your creation starts to take on a life of its own and begins to breathe. Which takes me to the third and final stage of the creative process. Once you've honored that thought, played around with it, molded it, shaped it, made mistakes, you're gonna get this feeling. You're gonna know it's done. So you stop adding to it, let it be, and you release it out into the world. Creativity needs to be shared. The biggest secret of creativity is cyclical. Creativity is trying to tell you to share your creations with the world, and in doing so, giving your creations permission to find their own sacred space, to inspire others, to shake, to move, to nurture, to grow. Nothing's original. We all know that. It's all rehashed, remixed, redashed, recycled, but filtered through our own creative process and brought out into the world.
To say what has never been said, to see what has never been seen, to draw, paint, sing, sculpt, dance, and act what has never before been done, to push the envelope of creativity and language. And what's really important is, I call it the felt presence of direct experience, which is a fancy term which just simply means we have to stop consuming our culture. We have to create culture.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world. There's nothing